Going on to topic 3 of module 5, we're going to study the quadratic equation a little more closely, and we're going to look at something that's called the discriminant. Now, in the quadratic equation, you'll notice there is something under the radical sign, and I have it in blue here. Well, this is what the discriminant is, b squared minus 4ac. Now, if this discriminant, as I have here, is greater than 0, we're going to end up with 2 real solutions, because it's plus or minus what's here. Now, if this is a perfect square, these real solutions will be rational numbers. Now, if we have not a perfect square under the radical sign, like 11, then these solutions are going to be irrational. Now, another scenario is, suppose that when we do what we do here, and we end up with a 0, that our discriminant is equal to 0. Then you're only going to get plus or minus 0, so it doesn't change the solution. You only get one real solution. Now, how about if the discriminant ends up being less than 0? That is, there's a negative value under here. So the discriminant is negative. Then you're going to get 2 imaginary numbers as a solution. Okay, so this is a little summary of what's going on and what they're asking here. So for each equation, and these are quadratic equations, what type and number of solutions will you expect to get? So once again, if your discriminant is greater than 0, you're going to get 2 real solutions. And depending on whether they're perfect squares or not, will be rational or irrational. Then we have, if this is equal to 0, you're only going to get 1 solution. And if your discriminant is a negative value, you're going to get 2 imaginary solutions. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now let's work these out. So this is what we'll find under the radical sign. This is the discriminant. You're going to substitute your a value, your b value, and your c value. Get an answer, and then determine whether you're going to have 2 real, 1 real, or 2 imaginary numbers. We'll give you some time. So basically, we're just going to substitute our values for A, B, and C and see what you get. So here we get 4. So under the radical sign, it's going to be plus or minus. We're going to get 2 real solutions whose numbers will be rational. Now here it cancels out and you get 0. So plus or minus 0 just gives you 1 solution. Here we're getting 2 solutions that are real. 1 solution that is real. And for this one, you end up with a negative 11. So this is going to be 2 imaginary numbers, because this is the square root of a negative 11, which comes out as I, the square root of 11. And it's plus or minus. Okay. Now for example 2, they're asking us to find an equation for which the given numbers are solutions. So here we have the answers. We need to work backwards. So we're going to put those in parentheses and have it equal 0. Well, if you recall, it's the opposite sign of this. So this would be x minus 4 here. And our denominator had to go there, 3x, and it's going to be plus 2. So if we were solving this, we'd equal it to 0. Transpose the negative 4 would become a positive 4. So the reverse of it is this. Now again, if we were solving this, just take this part. The 2 comes over as a negative, and we divide by 3. So we have it there. Now we just need to FOIL. And this is 3x squared. Now my outers, a positive 2x, inners, a negative 12x, so that gives me a negative 10x. And then a negative 4 times 2, a negative 8 equals 0. So that's this equation. All right, now this one's a little bit tricky, because here, can you see we have sort of conjugates. So this is going to be, again, 2 sets of parentheses. X plus, I'll do this one here first, 4i. And this one is x minus 4i. So if you were going to solve this one, equal it to 0, you just transpose that. Transpose that. So what does this become then? Well, when we FOIL it, we get x squared. Now notice your middle terms are going to cancel out, and you're left with a negative 16i squared. Now, what did we say I squared was? A negative 1. So this will become x squared plus 16 equals 0. Now remember, another way of solving that would have been x squared. Transpose that now to a negative 16 on that side. Take the square root, plus or minus, and that'll give you x equals a negative 4i and a positive 4i. So in example C, it's something similar. You set it up, they're going to be conjugates. So this will be x squared. And then we're going to square this. That's going to be a negative 16 times 5 equals 0. So we get x squared minus 80 equals 0. So again, if you know the style of what we're doing, now normally this wouldn't factor, but you see it does. Now in calculus, you'll use something like this. So here you see we have 3 answers. So we're going to need 3 parentheses. Here we have 3 also, but one's a 0. So we only needed 2. Now we put our x here in each one, helping you set it up in a way. Now, what will we put here for this one? Well, it's the opposite sign. Here, opposite sign. Here, opposite sign. So there's the start of this equation. And here we have our x equals 0. And then this will be opposite sign, plus 4, and a plus 2. So you're going to FOIL this, and then multiply it by this. Here you're going to FOIL these, and then distribute the x, and let's see what you get, and I'll check it out. So foiling this, we get this top line, and then we're just going to multiply it by this, and we do long multiplication. Now we can just bring it down here so we can see it better. This is going to be 15, and there's no x there. I don't know why I put that there. Guess I got carried away on that one here. So 15, that's going to be a plus, minus 13x, minus 3x, and x cubed, and that equals 0. Okay. So again, you might say, well, how would I factor that? Well, we don't have the skills for factoring. Can't factor by grouping or anything, but these are the answers. You would need a calculator to do that. Okay, now for this one, again, the key here is you have the x equals 0, so that doesn't have any of these. So you're just going to FOIL this, and that gives you x squared plus 6x plus 8. And then you distribute the x. So you get x cubed plus 6x squared plus 8x equals 0. And that looks good. Okay, so this will wrap this up. A short lesson, the use of the discriminant to find out kinds of answers, and then working backwards. We had done some of these earlier too. All right, let's go on.